Hello YouTube, hope you're having a fantastic Friday. This Monday on the Twitch live stream, I felt like doing a little bit of a technical, geeky dive into closures. This stream was a little bit of an experiment because, while the new format is appreciated by a lot of people, a recurrent critique has been that it has been a little bit superficial. It's like, oh, we try this new tech, and we don't really go deep into anything. So I wanted to pick one tricky aspect of JavaScript, just a few lines of code, and geek out into it. Closures was something that came to mind for that, because closures is this really tricky subject that is a general language feature of many programming languages, but JavaScript was, at least for me, the first language where I encountered them, and it actually took me several years into JavaScript before I really understood truly what was going on with them. Closures are also fun because they have so many interesting aspects and consequences to them that you can explore. And I think that was probably the mistake with picking this subject, because it turns out that even though closures are yes, one subject, and it's a closure example is basically 5 lines of code, it turns out that it is a vast subject, and it's very easy to get distracted by just a single question in this topic. So the live stream started out nicely with me talking about how what closures are, and then somebody asks, are functions hoisted to the top of a closure scope? And we just went on a little bit of a interesting wild goose chase doing that, and we learned that, well, you'll see. We talked a little bit about how values in closures are referenced, not copied, which is something that is a little bit intuitive, and we looked at a little bit of examples of that. Then, in order to give the example some context, I re-implemented object orientation inside of closures, which of course led to somebody asking, why should I use this instead of classes? And I was like, no, that's not the point. But I still couldn't avoid going on a tirade about how this could replace classes, and how there are several ways in which closures are superior to classes and a lot simple and should not be completely discounted as an alternative. So we go a little bit on that. But finally, we actually end up in an example where somebody asked, where do we actually use them for reals? And we dive a little bit into how you can use it to inject dependencies into services that need them, such as a query function that needs a database connection object. This show was really interesting to do. I can't wait to hear what you think of it. Write a comment down below while you're watching. Before we cut to the recording of the live stream, I would like to thank today's sponsor, NordVPN. Or NordVPN, as it would be pronounced in Swedish. Not everyone knows this, but I'm Swedish and I record this in Sweden, and therefore I know how to properly pronounce Nord. So, as a developer, you are probably using a VPN, or you should. We are in a world where your data is very, very precious, and therefore people are trying to get it. If you're in a public Wi-Fi of any sort, if you don't know it, your data is basically up for grabs. Anybody can listen to it, unless you're somehow protecting it, and a VPN is a very good way of doing that. Also, even if you're not out traveling on public Wi-Fis as much as I am, your data is still constantly being snooped by a lot of governments. The EU and the US are gathering a lot of data, and I think that saying that Russia is gathering a lot of data is not giving their intelligence service enough credit. It's a nom data machine, and don't use a VPN so that they don't get all of it at least. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. A VPN is also very handy if you need to check like your country filters and see what happens to your website when you come from a certain country. NordVPN allows you to that's service in 62 countries. I also like that NordVPN is OpenVPN based, so you can use it on anything that supports that, your router and everything. You don't need to use a special app. Their apps are really good, but a minimalist like me, I really enjoy being able to use it clientless. Don't get me wrong, they have great clients, but I've had bad experiences with VPNs where they kind of just like force me into using their custom client, and I'm kind of like, dude, let us date a little bit first. So if you do not have a VPN, go to nordvpn.org/funfunfunction and use the coupon code FUNFUNFUNCTION if you sign up for the 3-year subscription, which makes the monthly fee insanely low. Then you get 75% off, plus you get an extra month in that as well. Jerkle asks, what are closures? So let me declare a variable here that is called x, which is a dreadful name for a variable, and I'm going to call that waffle, and then I'm going to return another function that we call a inner function. These are really like return function, inner function, and I'm going to return I like waffles. No, yeah, X. And you know what? I'm gonna rename this food. And I will then just go generic function. Call this. What does that give us? Hang on, I'll start Quokka. Oh yeah, this gives us an inner function. And then I call that, and I get I like waffle. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, so this is a little bit mind-boggling. So if you're not used to closures, this might make you feel weird, because if you're coming from another language, variables, they don't really exist in the world of like this would stop existing once the function has returned. But in the world of a language that has closures, this variable keeps existing. It keeps like the inner function has access to its to this space here as well. See? So let me we could perhaps like, I'm gonna do a lot of like fiddle around with this in a lot of different ways until you kind of get it. Ronin asks, random question that I don't know that I've ever thought through. Are inner functions hoisted to the upper scope? This is a bit of a like more advanced question, but yes, they are. I think that I'm pretty sure they are. I think that every function is always hoisted to the upper scope. We can actually check this. Let me. Can I call inner function here? What happens if I do that? No, you can't. I actually expected this to work. That it would automatically, before doing the compilation, I thought that it would do that, but it doesn't. Huh! You learn something new every day. It's not hoisted. Or perhaps it was just my linter. No, wait, was it just my linter? No. No, it's an error in... Wait. Yes, it's my linter. Hang on. Hang on. This was just a linter. Yeah, because this is horrible practice to write this way. But let me for a while... no, I don't have the linter added to this yet. How do I write? Can somebody look up how to write ESLint, the ignore? Is it like this? Ignore. Like this. No undef. Is that it? Svaldez89. What is the plugin that you use that shows the errors in line? It's Quokka. There we go. Fiffin gave us the solution. Give it to me. Like this. No, it still refuses. On the line above. Okay. Here we go. Functions node sign. Alright, sidechainy nuclear. There we go. Alright, it still fails though. Still fails. Interesting. Oh, Prototypal says I'm like 99% sure only function statements get hoisted. And I'm like, let's do that. Function, inner function. Return inner function. Oh! Oh, that's so interesting. So if like that is different. So you see here now, as you see, like I can call inner function before it is defined. And that is because in JavaScript, there's a thing called hoisting, which means that it actually like will, before compiling it, it will send all things to the top. And like some things to the top, and functions is one of those. It sends them to the top of its inner like it's the function it's being contained in. So this is actually what is being compiled. So to answer your questions, functions are hoisted. All right, so let's call this. Let's go for the dragon examples. Gonna go a dragon, and we are going to have const breadth, because you can use like closures as a very good, like you can use them to implement object orientation in JavaScript. This is not necessarily something that like you should be doing with closures, because we sort of have classes for that. You can. I'm a proponent because I hate classes, but since classes has you can. Let's just leave it at that. And let's call it fire, and we going to say preference, and then we're gonna return function attack, and return I attack you with breath for 10 damage. Oops. That. And then we return preference and attack. And then we can go const dragon. Now we go Flupkins. And we call it dragon. And now, as you see here, this is an object that has preference and attack. and we can call fluffykins dot preference, and that gives us I like waffle, and we can call attack, and that gives I attack you with fire for 10 damage. And I would like to stress here that these are like, this is a living thing, this closure. So you see, like, so the function is not really closure. Closure is like the functionality of preference having access to stuff in their outside scope, or the function that they are being contained in. Aimer94, maybe I'm an idiot, but why would I use this instead of classes? We're gonna, like, I'm just using this example here to show it to you in a context that you understand. That this is not a closures are not really a replacement for classes. They can be used as that, but they are way more useful. Right now, I'm just using it to, like, make you get what they are. We are getting to the why in a bit, but we're focusing on the what first. So I'm gonna do something like, can we see here, like I'm gonna do let damage, and it's gonna like 10, and then we are gonna have like function level up, and that will increase the damage. How do you do this? Like this. 10. Gonna zoom out a little bit. More. And well, let's expose level up. So now you get here like attack with 10 damage, and then I go fluffykins dot level up. That gives us nothing, and then we get like, oh, why didn't that work? Yeah, that it won't zoom out. I actually expected the second one here to give damage. Oh, it's because I've hard coded 10 damage. I am dumb. Dumb. Damage. So, as you see here, Ronin says hard coded, yay. So, as you see here, like this is actually not copied. The values of these are not copied. They are actually, attack is actually accessing what the variable is right now. And this is a little bit, I tripped over this a lot of times before when I learned closures, that I always thought that it kind of like froze in time when I was, when the thing was like, but it isn't. Like this is actually. Fiffin says template literals. I'm dying here. Oh, sorry, babe. I'm gonna like everything for you, Fiffin. Fiffin is a long-time member of the community. See here. Let's see here. I barely remember how to do this. There we go. For template literals. Template literals are pretty dope. Like, though, since I'm 35, am I allowed to say dope? Really? Is that okay? Or is that like some kind of dad thing? Let me refactor this as well. Getting distracted here. There we go, and there we go. Okay. So let's get back a little bit to why. I've explained here like this in the context of object orientation a little bit because I want it to be in a context that you understand, but this is not really demonstrating like why closures exist. There is like cases for building functions like this, because this is a very, very clean and simple way to do private things, private variables. So for instance, like if I wrote like fluffykins dot food here, I can't access that. Oh, sorry, I need to do that after. There, like it doesn't exist. However, if I had like if this was a class fluffykins, let me show this. No, class dragon. Oh god, thanks Visual Studio for nothing. IntelliSense is the most overrated thing. Flame bait. And we have something like that is food. And how do you even do this? How do you declare? I've forgotten this in classes. Because it's, oh yeah, and a constructor. It's IntelliSense. Constructor. Stop! What is wrong here? Something breaks always in these type checkers. And I'm gonna do this dot food equals waffle. Class name shouldn't have parents after it. Thanks. And we're gonna copy this preference here. Hup. Food is not defined. I'm gonna go this dot food. So I'm gonna do a new dragon. And we're gonna call it fluffykins from class. And then we're gonna see here that I can access food here. So it doesn't matter if I do things like this. I can keep naming it like whatever I want, like the class people do. But it's still gonna be accessible. Like you can't hide it. Can't hide the implementation. There are extraordinary convoluted ways to do this in classes, and classes are getting proper private members in some new script version. But I sometimes just feel like classes is such, you can do exactly the same thing in closures already, and classes to me are like, it seems like it's Java developers that really want JavaScript to be just like Java, and they are doing so much work to make it be Java instead of just using closures. Another benefit of using closures is that you, out of the box, let's say that I do this, fluffykins from class, and then I do preference, and then I do const, like, and I call that, then things break. And this is a little bit convoluted examples because this this happens when you assign this to an event handler in React or something like that. But like I can do that, like if I go here and do like the same thing with a closure object. Let's see here, go fluffykins.preference. Let me zoom out a little bit. Boop, boop, boop. Editor font zoom out. Oh god, I've written a lot of code here. Come on. Zoom out a little bit more. Zoom out. We're using way too much here. By the way, while we're at it, I'm gonna share my collab session here a little bit. Make read only. There we go. No, wait, I can't do this while using Quokka. Shit, because that gives you access to stuff. I'm not sure of the complications, so we're not gonna do that. Sorry. Yeah, Quokka is the name of the extension that we're using here. It's very, very nice. Yeah, so we're gonna call this fn2. Like I'm gonna call that and then fight with Visual Studio. Come on, did Quokka die now? Please don't die. Oh yeah, hang on, I need to disable that. So you see here, like, even though we do this reassignment here, this still works because of closures. So here, like, the class is not making use of closures, and preference does. So there are things that you can use arrow functions in classes to get rid of this. So I think that you do something like this, and that makes it work. Oh, I don't know how. Some way, this way maybe. There. Now it will work. Will it? No? No. Wait. Why doesn't this work? I expected this to sort of work. No. Is it even compiling? Now, this is probably crashing some bobble or something, because this is requires cross compilation or stuff. Oh, hang on. Yeah, it should be this.food. Thank you, Prototypal. Thank you so much. So have a look at this. End of what? Yeah, and equals. La la. So now I think it should work. No, it doesn't. Yeah, this is. I think that this theoretically should work, but like it requires like quite a bit of bobble magic, and also under the hood, this recompiles into some rebinding garble that will completely destroy the memory benefits of classes. Like the main reason to use classes over this, because this is very elegant and nice. It's very clear what it does once you understand closures. But the dragon here, there's a lot of weird things going on with dragon. So the main reason to use classes is that is for the memory reasons, that we don't recreate these functions every single time we create a dragon. But when you do this, that means that the function is under the hood recreated every time. So you basically just using classes for no good reason, in my opinion, like if you use these. Plus that you also have to write some functions as remember to do some classes as arrow functions. So because this wastes memory. It's just This is why I kind of like to create objects like this, because there's so little magic involved. And this is not even taking into account like all the weird stuff that is on an object like this. If you just have a look at it, can we see that here? Oh god, ESLint. Let's have a look. Can I just inspect it? I like x.prototype then. Is this what it's like? That is so annoying, that type checker. Really annoying. Oh! Makes it so hard to work. Let's see here. Yeah, either way. No, it's like proto. I think it's proto. Something like this. Oh, I'm dying from this ESLint shit. Hang on, how do you disable ESLint? There was somebody that wrote ESLint disable. There we go. ESLint, go die. No, still doesn't allow me. But something like that. Yeah, I assure you that this thing is here, but Quokka won't let me show it. Maybe Quokka is breaking. Test don't fail at closure. There's an invalid syntax somewhere. Syntax error, unexpected. Oh yeah, because it's... Yeah, Quokka is not parsing this. It doesn't have a bobble that is late enough to handle this, I suppose. Or something. Let's do that. There. There we go. So, here we see that it has like these proto objects. And maybe this does too. Maybe this is a bad example. Let's see if Fluffy, does this have a proto? Proto. No, it doesn't. Like, or it just has an empty object, like everything. And yeah, like Fluffy.conf class also has this thing. Is it like prototype? No. Oh no, yeah, this doesn't have that. It's this that has it. Yeah. But I don't, if I call Fluffykins, yeah, like SciMaster says that prototype is of the actual function, right? Fluffykins dot, does this have a prototype? No, it does not. And also the dragon here does not have a prototype. And like you have like prototype. What is the prototype? Like if you're gonna like use classes, now you have to go learn about prototypes, because classes in JavaScript are just like this thin abstraction on top of the prototype, and that's just it makes it so hard to deal with classes in JavaScript. Arguably, this is because how classes are implemented in JavaScript, but yeah, like all this weird prototype stuff and binding stuff, there is definitely a case for working with objects in this way, even if like the memory usage is slightly higher. Origin says, where do you use closures? So I talked a little bit how you can use them to implement object orientation, but that is not so much where the most practical case is. I would say that we can throw this away and we can have a look at let's say somebody had another excellent question. Yeah, Upgrading Dave said, if you're designing an API, say for example something that needs a database connection, do you write a bunch of functions as closures around the connection, or do you prefer to pass a database connection as an argument in each of your methods in the API? I like this because this is a case where I use functions, use closures a lot. So let's have a look at let's say DB connection or like database, and let's say that this gets a connection, and then we have a function called query. Something like this. Yeah, let's do this. Create something like that, maybe. Make create function. We're gonna call it create function. This is a little bit convoluted names, but we are for pedagogy. We're gonna do this, and then we are going to, let's say that there is a method on the connection object that is like query. And this seems a little bit unnecessary, but like let's imagine that you're doing a wrapper around this and there's stuff happening that requires you to do this, and there's like some SQL here. And this will return the object. And we do, and let's say that we have an order class, like an order class. Let's say an order function. Function create order. And this is dependent on a connection. I don't know, maybe. And this returns now we're gonna call this create order function, and we do something like and this does connection dot query and then insert order blah 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 blah. And when we instantiate the app, we want to, the problem here is that we want to be able to share our connection across the app. We want to inject this in the finished connection into every object, but we don't want to like pass around the signatures everywhere. We want to like make the order function not aware of. No, hang on. I'm gonna do this. This is a lot more sensible. Like this. We want to have like the order function unaware of the concept of. It shouldn't be aware of more than it needs to be. So when we're doing a dependency injection, we might do function dot let's do like this. Order, and we do a create order function. And this requires a connection. No, this requires query. And then we do We need to also create that. Create query function. Const query. And this requires a connection, which then might be like new MongoDB, and then like config connection, and here's some like username 123. And now Quokka is not helping us because we're not working on real code, but Quokka stopple. Connection there. So this is a little nice because now we have this this order function. So like, let's say that we have an interface function. I don't know, like say that we are on a top level and creating like a React app, and we need to pass down order stuff. This would be passed down in other ways in React, but you might get the idea. So now we can pass just order in, and order wraps another thing that contains another thing and contains another thing. And you can do this with classes, but and that's like done with this kind of like configuration objects and configuration objects. But doing this with classes is so heavy. Like it's a lot of construct to do something that it really doesn't, because these things that doesn't contain state, they are just like, they're just carrying around like a reference to another object, so perhaps a configuration. So like using functions for this is very sleek. And now I'm doing it in the absolutely most verbose way. I could also do something like const let's say like query factory, and then I'll call this bdeep like this. Dun, dun, dun. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And I can also do this and do the same thing for this, where I just make use of arrow functions. Oh my god, it's so much stuff I can remove from this. There we go. Oh, we actually have to also forward the SQL, I guess. Let's see. There we go. There we go. There. Sorry about that. SQL. Something like that. I guess we need to forward the connection as well. No, sorry. We need to forward the query. Gets a little mind bending with dependencies. There we go. Oh, those are not necessary. So something like that. And we have like a billion more questions around closures, but we're out of time. And I don't want to run this too long. We will probably do a follow-up to this because closures is like this infinite subject. And yeah, we're gonna do one more, definitely. I hope that this confused you more in a way that perked your brain. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out our sponsor NordVPN at nordvpn.org/funfunfunction. If you're thinking about getting their 3-year plan, which makes the monthly fee insanely low, use the coupon code FUNFUNFUNCTION because that makes your gives you 25% off and it gives you 1 month extra free. If you like this show, it might interest you to know that we record them live on Monday mornings. Check out what that is in your time zone at twitch.tv/funfunfunction. If you want to see more about what FunFunFunction is about, you can check out this playlist. Or if you really liked it, you can just go ahead and click subscribe right now by clicking here. I am MPJ. Until next Monday morning, stay curious.